counts per polling units for FCT and Rivers in February 2020, in February 2021. So INEC shared this information with parties January 14, but this information is still not public. So there's still many, many layers to verification that we need to make happen. And so, thank you so much.
Yeah, sorry, just looking at time because we want to respect the time. So next time we invite you, you can honor our invitation. But I really want to plead that we go over by just 10 minutes because we need to get more voices in the room, especially for the females who have indicated they want to speak. So this is not a male-dominated space. I see Adenike Awe. Please, if you can unmute and just ask your question or contribute to the discussion, that would be great. Adenike.
Yeah, thank you. Hello, everybody on the space. My take is, yesterday, one of the senators came on television and said, we don't have coverage in some places. Advocate. After all this, if let's assume the Senate passes this electronic transmission and makes it mandatory, what if the president doesn't sign the bill? So I'd like to know what will happen if he doesn't sign, like Buhari didn't sign in 2019.
All right. Okay, that's fine. I'll come back to our panelists to respond to this question. But I wanted the one who goes with the handle PDOM Nigeria.
Yeah, thank you, Samson. It's nice to be on this space tonight. Yes, I want to start by first condoning what most of the senators are coming up on television to defend that Nigeria don't have network coverage to cover up the entire country for a real-time electronic transmission of results. Let's go by Starlink complete package is about 590,000. We have about 171,846 polling units in Nigeria. If we buy Starlink, let's just dedicate one Starlink for each polling unit. We are going to spend 102 billion naira for that. INEC's budget is close to 1 trillion naira. So we can do that comfortably. So there's no excuse for that. We have bank. You can do real-time transmission of bank services right now. People pay money to an account. You get instant alerts. You understand? So there is no excuse for that. Secondly, we have POS in every nook and cranny of this country. Bandits are in forest communicating with kidnapped victims' family. You understand? So are they pulling that out? And people are coming in this 21st century, 2026, to defend that we don't have network coverage. For that reason, we don't need real-time electronic transmission of results. That's the only voice of the common man right now. The whole system has been rigged. And let me tell you the last part of it is that even if we end up getting the Senate forcing them to go with this electronic transmission of results real-time, they can still come up with voters disenfranchisement, which will be high level of insecurity during the election. They will disenfranchise voters from voting. That's their next option they are planning. So the ones that are standing, they should keep standing. The ones that are for the people, they should keep speaking out for the people. Go out to defend what the people, the only eyes of the people right now, which is electronic, real-time electronic transmission of results. Thank you, Samson.
All right. Thank you very much. It's Joy Agashwa, the handle Joy Agashwa. We'll try to get you into the room. I'm glad that you're here. Fine. Yes, Joy, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sampson. Thank you, distinguished senators and everyone on this call. So my question is very simple. I recall that one of the clauses was also rejected, and it has to do with the rejection of the clause that provides for a downloadable voter's card in the event of, losing yours as a voter. And then that clause was rejected. I, for one, suffered that. In the previous elections, I couldn't vote because I had misplaced my voter's card inadvertently, and I applied. There were logistical issues. I was in Port Harcourt at the time, though I got the initial one in Benue State. However, I applied when I was in Port Harcourt. For some reason, it never came. And I was, barred from voting. I was very involved in the elections, but eventually I couldn't vote. So I was one of those people who joined, the count that people are voting online, but they're not voting in person. So to solve that issue, I think that was the reason why that clause was made. So why was it rejected? Because I think it's going to help, solve a lot of issues in that light. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Senator Kingibe, you have a couple of questions because I know you're a member of that committee. But before we come to you, we see the handle extraordinary Oma.
Yeah, good evening, Samson. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. It's a pity. I wanted all the senators to be present, but I see that Senator Baribe and Senator Natasha, they've all gone. So I will direct this question to Senator Ireti. Sorry, before I go to the question, Bidom has already shared my thoughts around the coverage. And I want to agree with him that there is no excuse. Nigerians, we do not want excuses from the Senate anymore. We do not want excuses from INEC as well. A common Nigeria out here knows that that coverage is possible, and PDOM has, given some solutions to it. Now, for Senator Ireti, I'm sorry, ma'am, you keep saying that we, the citizens, should hold our senators accountable to be able to do the right thing. Do you think that's right, ma? Because as a concerned citizen, I'm just, after I do the work of, making sure I elect the senators or our representatives to go and represent the interests of Nigerians, then they turn back to me to say, I have to be on their neck to get them to do the right thing. That is very frustrating. I am a frustrated Nigerian right now, and I wouldn't like to hear things like that. Please, ma, do we need to do this for the senators to do their job or to do the right thing? What can be done right now to rectify this thing happening about the transmission of result that Akpabio has done? We,
Okay.
the citizens, we can be out here protesting and doing what we can do. But you're in there. You know more than us. You know the laws of the Senate. I don't know. You know the section that will help or whatever you need to do to resolve this issue. And Nigerians are counting on you to do it, to resolve this. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Well, thank you very much. Unfortunately, we've got just 3 minutes to go. So, distinguished, maybe yeah, you have lots of questions, but I think Senator Abaribe is also in the room. Maybe to respond to the questions directed at you, but also to the question regarding what happens if the president does not assent to this after it has been passed? And in this case, after provisions like electronic transmission have been passed. Distinguished, you have the floor, and then we come to Senator Abaribe, and then I'll go around to with all the panelists so we can bring this to a close. Distinguished, you have the floor.
Well, the young lady who just said that they elected us, as you can see, right now, the minority senators are in the minority, so to speak. Now, we are speaking up. In places like the National Assembly, the minority will have their say, but the majority will have their way. When we were debating this matter, a lot of the APC senators wanted electronic transmission. If they're not very vocal about it, whatever the reasons, but to actually get any traction, it's like you are at the edge of a place where a lion is coming to bite you and there's water, there's a big sea at the bottom. What will push you to actually jump if you're afraid is the fact that the lion is going to bite. I don't know whether my analogy makes sense, but that's the best I can do. The truth of the matter is, you don't want me to say that the people should hold us. It is the people who make us or not make us. That's the truth. People like me have my finger on the pulse of the people. But there are other senators that will only put their finger on if the people insist. That's the best answer I can come up with. Now, as for the president not assenting, I think there's probably nothing that can be done if he doesn't sign, but Senator Baribe is in a much better position to actually respond to that since he has a lot of historical knowledge.
Well, Senator Abaribe, you have the floor.
Well, we can for extraordinary. If the we go back to 2022, then it will now be okay. Now you know what they have done in 2022. All they did in 2022, which you can counter, is simple. If you do not have your agents who are knowledgeable and who can stand their ground, then somebody is going to run away with whatever shenanigan they can. But if uh, you have a knowledgeable agent who stands his ground, who makes sure that he collects the Form EC8A, then nobody can run you out of town. All that happens, and what I saw happened in 2023, I am I will say, a fortunate recipient of transmission real time because it happened. My son was in the house. His job was to collect all the results from IREV. So as the results were coming, he was, adding everything up. And he called me one time and said, "Dad, you're through." So it means that IREV and all these things work. But you need to have your people there. So all that we now need to do is for us to ensure that for each political party, you have your agents on ground. That's just what it is. What has been happening all this while is that people vote, walk away, and they think that that is the end of the process. They don't know that somebody has to stand there, make sure that the votes are counted and tallied properly, sign it, and take their copy, especially take their copy. So many people just left these things because they were leaving things, for happen. That's exactly what happens if the president doesn't sign. If the
Distinguished.
president signs, fine, then we do not have a problem. But we still have this option of making sure that your agents are on ground. That is how again.
Distinguished.
Yes.
Distinguished. One would ask, the Constitution gives the National Assembly the power to veto the president when he doesn't sign or assent to a legislation. What happens to this power of veto when you, as a house, you have the power of veto? And if we can quote all of you, you said over 80% of lawmakers support,
Well, we
some
can
of these
quote
provisions.
over 80%. They can vote when it is necessary, but I do not think that they will have the courage to buck a president. I do not think so. When people start shouting that they are standing on a mandate, well, you can be sure that I will vote, but I doubt whether you will get, because it will need 83 votes. That's two-thirds in the Senate. I doubt whether they can get two-thirds. So if a president doesn't sign, we will just not have any other thing to do. Very sorry about that.
No, thanks for your honesties. Again, that's the reality before us, and I guess there are more conversations that we can have on that. But just to bring in the panelists, if you could just take 1 minute each to comment. I've been trying to get the spokesperson, Akin Rotimi, the spokesperson of the House, Honorable Rotimi, who is on the call, because it will be unfair that we have a conversation without a voice from the House. And he's been trying to, come into the speaker's room. I've tried everything possible, but
Well, I
it's
think I
proving
think we should
very difficult.
commend the House. The House passed real-time transmission without a problem. And in fact, when we now go to the harmonization, what normally happens in harmonization is that there will also be voting for either the Senate version or the House version. And
Mm.
what I expect is that the House members haven't voted and have them come to this point of wanting real-time transmission, will be there, and some senators will join them, and real-time transmission will go on. So let's
Okay.
thank Rotimi and his colleagues in the House. They have made Nigeria proud.
They are indeed the speaker's house in this particular. I said the speaker's. Sorry, the people's house, like the people's house, as they
Yes.
portray themselves to be on this particular issue, on this particular one. So, Yemi, Bukola, Cynthia, 1 minute each. Closing remarks. Yemi.
Thank you, Samson. As I said earlier, good evening, everyone again that just joined. That this is an opportunity to remind members of the National Assembly that they're there at the behest of Nigerians and they should reflect what Nigerians want. I mean, there's several recommendations that we made around additions to what's already in the Act. But even if we just keep to aligning what the House of Rep has, that is what must be our way forward, a clear, unequivocal reminder that they work for the people of Nigeria. I yield. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you, Bukola.
I so much thank you, Samson. And just before quickly, I want to commend the House of Rep, who is more progressive on this matter than the Senate.
China's way is because they did that for themselves. So when we talk about Nigeria and we say, oh, America is going to come solve the problem, that is not true. Because America is not coming to change the government, and the government is still going to remain the same.
I know that some of the president told me everybody wants to come on Monday. You're going to come to an empty house. Nobody will be there on Monday. So even if you come on Monday, you have to also mobilize to come on the 24th when we will resume.
Okay. Well, thanks for that. Yes, Cynthia.
I think this is the time for the Senate in particular to show Nigerians that they actually care about Nigeria's democracy and reconvene. 24th is for me too late when we have an important bill for amendment for Nigeria's democracy. And so it's a call to the Senate to actually take this as a priority issue and to align their position with that of the House. The House version of the bill is more citizens friendly, and it's a call to Nigerians. This is a time for us to stay awake and mobilize, call all our lawmakers and let them feel our heat, because Nigeria's democracy is ours to protect and ours to build. We cannot leave it for our politicians to make a mockery of what we fought so hard for.
Well, thank you, Peter.
My country people, there is a deliberate attempt at increasing voter apathy and ensuring that Nigerians get so frustrated and tired. We must refuse to. Everything that is going on is not happening in a vacuum. It is deliberate. Whatever that happens, whether it eventually pass this bill, if you want to know how corrupt a country is, look at the number of their laws. Laws, no enforcement, no implementation. I beg you, Nigerians, the problem is channeling anger. We can be angry for 65 years as we have been, and we continue to take the wrong action. Even if this bill is passed, we must mobilize ahead of 2027. For this electoral reform bill, on Monday, Nigerians should come out and make the statement. Everybody in the National Assembly, Nigerian politicians have become too comfortable. Nigerians can force the Senate and Akpabio to reconvene and take priority into this issue. So, my country people, the message is simple. Elections have consequences. If we allow a consolidation of the criminality that took place in 2023, our lives and the lives of innocent citizens continue to make up for the incompetencies of governance. I beg you, let us use this electoral reform issue as a channel to fixing governance in Nigeria. Thank you and good night.
Thank you very much.
May I quickly add before I leave that Peter has made my point about holding us accountable, making us do what you want. And on that note, I'm sorry, but I have to leave.
Well, we thank you very much. We've actually come to the end, but to deliver the closing remarks, let me invite Austin Agbe to do that. Austin, you have the mic.
Thank you so much, Samson Todo, for this very firebrand session. And I'd like to thank everyone who has joined us, distinguished senators, as Baribe. It's such an honor again and again. Reti, that we sincerely appreciate you. And of course, Natasha, but you did so excitedly. And of course, all of the other speakers, Cynthia, Yemi, my brother Peter, Bukola, and of course, Andrew from Ashone. Thank you. It is important to note that this intervention is aimed for the Nigerian people. It's aimed to save our democratic architecture. It's aimed to improve our system. And there is no better way to do this. And I'd like to thank all particularly Yaga, the organizer, Samson, you did fantastically well. Let me quickly just raise a few points and I'll explain it. The gavel is powerful in the National Assembly, but the voice of the people is more stronger and powerful. And in this case, the people's voice should be the true gavel that represent all interests. Having said that, timelines are very important. As we speak today, just on the 31st of January 2026, the NPP, the opposition party in Ghana, elected a flag bearer in the person of Dr. Bamiwa to contest the election of December 2028, not 2027, 2028. This time lag has implication for coordination. Just speaking to Senator Natasha, it actually creates an opportunity to build a base of supporters beyond just looking at INEC. It's more advantageous, in my opinion, for political party, for political actors, and for transmission of results. I think that is the single most important piece of legislature that is citizens centered. The PBC. When you have that, just typing those numbers on the IREP, the person voter, the person's information will pop up, and the person can vote without hesitation. So in today's Nigeria, let's not go the way of the rule of the thumb. Nigeria has moved beyond this architecture. We are competing favorably well and ahead. Let's not begin to look back. If India still run electronic voting with about 300 million illiterate population, more than the total number of Nigerian population, why are we talking about infrastructure? And I think it's important, part of closing, to thank everyone again. It's been very useful. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Just a quick set of announcements. Again, thanks to Honorable Rotimi. He's been part of this conversation. We would have loved to hear your voice, but we hope that subsequently we'll do that. Thank you very much. Thanks to everyone. Again, this spaces was not just hosted by Yaga Africa. It was just the handle. But I'd really want to acknowledge a few organizations that put this together. TAF Africa, the Nigerian Women Trust Fund, the Kuka Center, Fix Politics, Enough is Enough, the International Press Center, the Center for Media and Society. I hope I've mentioned all the groups who have been part of this, as well as Austin, and as well as the Youth Movement on Electoral Reform, the YREP. Thank you to everyone. We will host other spaces, and please do oblige us when we come calling. But please don't forget, Monday, 9 a.m. at the National Assembly, we will be part of the march to again express our views about the need to have electronic transmission, as well as downloadable PVCs and other proposed amendments in the Act. Thank you very much. Please have yourself a very good evening and wishing you a blessed week ahead. Good night, everyone. everyone.